Hello everyone, welcome back to Seasoned Professional. My name is Hannah Octavia and today's interview is a little bit different in the fact that it is just me. It is a solo episode, sort of because I did not plan my life accordingly and did not get an episode approved quick enough because the time management is a work in progress, but also because I realized that yesterday is exactly 1 year since I posted my very first episode of the podcast. And how do I feel about that? You know, I have just come off recording an episode, and I mentioned briefly in my conversation with my guest that I had just come up to the 1 year anniversary of this podcast being live and being out there for people to hear. And, you know, she said, "Oh, you should be so proud of yourself." And we had a brief conversation about, you know, pride and what it's like to feel proud of yourself. And I suppose I am proud of myself. I'm proud of the fact that I didn't quit. There are hundreds of videos on my phone of, you know, ideas that I've had over the years, and they never, you know, came to anything. And this is the first time that I have really committed to something. So I'm proud of myself for that. I'm proud of myself for how bold I've become. I have learned to have very little fear of asking for the things that I want. And I've learned to accept the no's as just what they are and that they have nothing to do with me as a person, but just it's a no and it's not going to happen. And I think that has made me a braver person, a more courageous person, someone who, you know, I'm not really scared of making myself look like a fool anymore. And a year ago, that was definitely something I was afraid of. I was afraid of being told no. I was afraid of messing up, of being judged by people, of, you know, people viewing me as an embarrassment, of what I was doing was embarrassing and, you know, not worthwhile. And I think I've changed that perspective of myself, which I'm grateful for. I think another area that I often don't give myself credit for is how much I've learned. You know, I have interviewed over 40 people in the past year. And I leave each interview feeling proud of myself. I feel pride after my interviews. I feel like I've done a good job. I feel like I have given my guests a space to tell their life story. And I am so unbelievably proud that I've been able to do that. You know, some of my guests have shared incredibly intimate details of their life, and I have been at a loss for words more times than I can count. And I've had to learn how to navigate these situations that I have never been in before. I'm going to give myself the opportunity to recognize how, I guess, talented I am at making people feel comfortable. And I really don't want this to come off as a, you know, I'm so amazing kind of session. And I hope that it doesn't, but I also hope that it inspires you, whatever you are doing in life right now, to take a moment and kind of take count of everything that you've accomplished. Because yes, I have not made money from this podcast. This is not my full-time career. You know, I haven't made huge jumps in that sense, but I have But I'm so grateful for everything else. I'm so grateful for what I've learned, for the skills that I have gained, for my ability to walk into a room with a complete stranger and pick apart their life in a way where they feel honored, where they feel seen, where they feel heard. I just feel really grateful that I've been able to create that space. I suppose just looking back on this year and the people I've spoken to, I've learned that everyone's path is different. And I think we hear that, we hear that, everyone's going to find success in a different way. Everyone has to take a different path in their life. And I think we hear it, but we don't really believe it. We don't internalize it. We don't take it as our own story, and we don't then go and find our own path. I think we often try to follow other people's paths thinking that it's going to get us to where they are today. And it's not. It's really, really not. You have to find your own way. And it's so scary, and it can be full of mistakes and missteps, and it can guide you through a life that you did not imagine. But it is how you find the beauty. It's how you find success. It's how you find passion and love and hope and, for some, their dream careers. When I started this podcast, I had this idea, this was prior to speaking to anyone, that my podcast was going to be about, this is the path you take if you want to become this specific thing. And that first interview, I've realized, oh shit, I can't tell people this is what you should do if you want to become a vet, if you want to become a doctor. There's the obvious points of it. You have to go to university. But when you get right down to it, there is no single path that you can take that is going to give you the life you want. I spoke recently with April Baker, who's the CEO of the Together Co. And she kind of spoke about her hatred of the 5-year plan and how you really can't plan for life. Because if you're sticking to a plan, then you're not really living your life. You're stuck to this idea that you should follow these steps and that those steps are going to bring you to where you're meant to be. But then you're missing out on all the opportunities to just embrace life and to live life and to experience the things that you may not have planned for. And I think that is where the beauty comes from. The beauty is in the unknown. And yeah, screw those 5-year plans, in my opinion. And then I suppose the other thing that I wanted to mention is, one of the big lessons that I've learned throughout this year is the importance of relationships and how opportunities come when you are open to them, when you ask for what you want, when you are loud, when you are vocal. And I don't mean in a way that you have to gloat or that you have to not be true to yourself, but in a way that feels like you. The way that we succeed in life is by collaborating with others. It's by finding inspiration in those who have come before us, in getting advice from people who have, done the things that we're about to do. And I think specifically in this day and age, and by we, I mean, this is how I feel. I feel like we very much have to do it all alone. And it's really sad and it's really scary. And it doesn't have to be your reality. You can ask for help. You can meet new people and you can ask for the things you want. And just so much of life and so much of career growth and success and finding your path and finding your passions and finding the thing that you love in life comes from other people. And this lesson was specifically drilled into my head during my conversation with Natasha Cadle. I will link all these mentions below. But yeah, it's funny. I have a little calendar right now on my desk, and it says, I am focused, I am persistent, and I will never quit. Isn't that funny? I will never quit. And I am persistent. I am persistent. If I were an outsider looking at what I've done this past year, I would assume that it came easy to me. Because I assume things come easy to people. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is my automatic assumption, that things look easy. And I suppose it's because we only show a small clip of our lives. And, you know, the reality is 99% of the guests on my podcast, I persisted. And I got them because I asked. And because I was vocal and I told my story to whoever wanted to listen. And I would say, hey, you want to come on my podcast? And to my surprise, people said yes. And I think, you know, a year ago, I think I would have been disappointed knowing that I had to ask for all my guests. But when it comes down to it, I've been able to ask for the most beautiful people, and I have been able to really tell the people that I have on my podcast why I want them on my podcast. You know, I think something that I sell to people in hopes that they come on and have a conversation to me is that I am giving them 2 hours of undivided attention. I am giving them 2 hours where they can tell me their entire life story, and I will listen and I will ask questions, and I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, want to learn everything that they have to offer. And I think, you know, it's something that isn't done enough. We don't really take a moment to take stock of all we've done, and I think that's why it's such a special thing that I've been able to facilitate, and that I've been able to speak to people in such a candid way. And yeah, it's just something that I'm actually at a loss of words. Like I am so unbelievably grateful that all these people said yes to me. I am so beyond words thankful that they, you know, gave me a shot, because they could have said no, and they didn't. It's wild to think it's been a year. And today I had a conversation with my father, and he asked me, you know, how long are you going to do this for? I hope for a very long time. Darling! I'm just recording a little solo thing about what I learned this year, because yesterday was the very first day I published the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Anyways, I'm going to see if I can convince Clay to come on for the last little 10 minutes to share his thoughts, because I think it's interesting to hear from someone else.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll let you shower first, though. Anyway, those are all my thoughts for the moment. Who knows? Maybe you'll hear from my boyfriend, from the videographer, how he's seen this year, and how, you know, honestly, without him, I think I would have given up. I think he has talked me into pursuing this dream. And, you know, without a doubt, every episode we record, he always says that, you know, that was my best one, that he's really proud of me. And I think sometimes I take that for granted, that support. In fact, I know I take that for granted sometimes. But the fact that at a drop of the hat, I just say, we have a podcast today, and he says, okay. And there's no questions asked. I know he'll be there. I know he will support me. I know he will be at the top of his game, even if he's, worked all day, even if he's tired. I know that he will be there. And I suppose with that in mind, this is not a one-man mission. This is not just me. It is him as well. And he has made this dream of mine, this passion project of mine, actually become a reality. And this would not still be a thing without him. So thank you. Thank you, my darling. Anyways, that is all from me. I am moving back to Canada in December, so transitioning the podcast to Canadian guests. And I have booked in 3 guests for January. I have tentatively booked in another 3 guests, so we're slowly, getting my guest list together. But if there's anyone that you would like to hear me speak to, pop it down in the comments. You can always message me on the Seasoned Professional Instagram or my own personal Instagram, which is Hannah Octavia. And yeah, I'm very excited for this new adventure back in my home country, back in Canada. And yeah, I hope for very exciting things to happen. I hope that I am focused, I am persistent, and I will never quit. Thank you all for being here. So I wanted to get Clay to come on and just answer a few questions. This could come off as very vain. I'm hoping it doesn't. But pretty much, I just wanted you to come on here because you're such a huge part as to why this is still happening. And yeah, I just want to get your perspective, because a lot of the time we don't talk to the people who are like standing by the people who are wanting to make a dream come true. So yeah.
Why am I wearing headphones?
Because then you can hear.
I don't hear anything.
No, it's just so the echo. There's no echo.
Oh.
Yeah. Anywho, have fun.
Wait, what? I thought you were going to ask me the questions.
No, you can do it yourself.
Oh. Oh, okay. What are you doing?
I'm going to go make dinner.
Oh.
Okay, love you.
Love you. Please disregard the large wound on my forehead. I just came back from jiu-jitsu. Hannah has left a few questions, and I will now answer them. All right. Hannah's first question. When I first told you my idea about the podcast, what did you think? Well, I thought it had the potential to be very interesting. She just had to put in the work and differentiate herself from a lot of the other podcasts, because I'm a big podcast guy. But I thought it would be a good challenge, and she's really risen to the challenge. Yeah, she's really impressed me with how much she's learned on the technical side of things. As much as Hannah says I help out, I basically just make sure the camera doesn't run out of battery. She's the one that sets everything up and gets all the lighting together and does basically everything behind the scenes. And I just make sure the red light's still on. So she's definitely become very technically proficient, and that's not even to say all the incredible work she's done on the camera. It's been interesting because I don't think I was here for the very first one, but I was helping out pretty near the beginning. And not that you shouldn't go back and listen to the first ones, but there is a marked increase in the I guess you could say talent. Not talent. She was talented back then, but the confidence and just the energy that she has now, it always impresses the guest. And not to brag, but I'm here and I have the evidence that they always say she's very impressive, and they always leave enjoying their time. And I think that's a very important part, because you ask busy people to take time out of their busy lives to come do your podcast, so you want to make sure that everybody gets value out of it. And Hannah's done a great job of becoming a much more well-rounded host and a much more confident host, and being able to get her personality across on camera a lot better. And that's just, it's very difficult, and it takes time. And so a year in, she's really been putting in the work, and it's showing. On to question 2. Sorry, I'm keep looking at my phone because fantasy football. All right, question 2. How have you seen my skills evolve this past year? Oh, darn, I kind of answered that in question 1. I guess just to continue on with part of my answer in question 1, I think it's really impressive to see how comfortable she's become on camera, and how comfortable and how quickly she can make the guests be comfortable on camera. I think that was something she really wanted to focus on, and make people just feel like they're having a conversation versus more of a formal interview, or make it sort of a more grand production than it really is. And not that she doesn't put a lot into the production, but it's ostensibly a one-woman show, so being able to kind of cultivate a real energy and presence in the studio, as we call it, has been really impressive. Because when she first said she was going to be doing this podcast, one of my biggest, not concerns, but apprehension. I was apprehensive of sort of getting people to come and just sort of be good guests, because as much as you can be a great host, you need the guests to be the other half of the show. So she's really impressed me with being able to get the most out of guests. I think that's been the most impressive thing over the last year, is seeing her, how quickly she can really get into the flow with guests, and make them feel at ease, and get good stories, and a lot of Third question. When I come to you wanting to quit, what do you say? Well, usually I say sort of the same thing. I'm like a broken record. And it's sort of just the old adage of when you quit, that's the first time you can't succeed. And that sounds really cheesy. And I don't know if I've ever actually said that, so I'm just coming up with stuff here. No, but, you know, with every creative pursuit, there's frustration and wanting things to progress at a certain speed and wanting to kind of always be growing, and a lot of that is out of your control, unfortunately. So I always say just as long as you keep improving yourself and getting better and putting out your best work, you never know who's going to see it, and you never know when somebody might see it, because you know, social media, the algorithm, it is a cruel mistress, and you never know who's gonna pop up on your timeline when, and whose timeline you're gonna pop up on. So I think it's just encouraging her to make sure that it's encouraging her to continue pursuing a passion, because with all passions, you know, you never know what day is going to be the best day, and it's just one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. You just, if you love something, there's no time frame for success. Oh, bonus question. Anything else? Anything else? Well, I mostly just would like to thank everybody. It means a lot to me that people are supporting something that Hannah's so passionate about and that she really enjoys doing and loves to create and have an outlet for a lot of her creativity. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. And in true YouTuber fashion, if we get enough likes on this, I'll be on the podcast. I don't know if that's going to help or hurt the views, but you know, it's only up from here. No, that's rude. We're going to cut that out. Yeah, been really inspiring to see Hannah pursue a pure passion project. It's a lot of P's. And just create something literally from just an idea and in the work that goes in behind the scenes, even just to get to the point of having a guest, and the hours that she spends in the studio editing tirelessly to make sure that she sticks to posting on her schedule. And yeah, I just want to say I'm very proud of Hannah, my girlfriend. Okay, bye-bye. Darling, I'm done.